Hi, I'm Nick, and today we're talking about loneliness. But first, I want to try to define loneliness. I think we get it confused a little bit maybe with being alone. I think loneliness is a desire for intimacy. I want to share some lyrics from a song I used to listen to called Just Like Nothing. The words go, "Even though the world is around me, I feel lonely, like I'm the only one. Even though the world has found me, it can drown me. It feels just like nothing." I think that really captures that feeling of loneliness because when we're alone, we're physically alone. There's no one else around. But loneliness, we could be surrounded by hundreds, thousands of people and feel completely alone because loneliness is a desire for intimacy. So how do we deal with loneliness? I'm gonna be honest, sometimes I'm not the best at this. I don't know if you can see here on my shirt, the word that it says is strong. I went to Ozark Christian College, and the dorm that I lived in was Strong Hall, and this was our dorm shirt my senior year. And every year we'd get shirts, and this year I was part of the team that got to design the shirt. And I lived on campus all 4 years. I had 4 different unique roommates that I'm still friends with today. But my senior year, I had my own room. And all throughout Ozark, one of the things I loved the most about living on campus and living in the dorm was there's always things to do, always people to be around. And so whenever I would get lonely, I could just go find something to keep my mind busy. I could go to the student center and play ping pong or play pool or just talk to people. And if that wasn't working, I could go to the gym and find people to play sports with, whether it was basketball or soccer or whatever. And then if that wasn't working, I could just go to the dorm and go up and down the halls and find people hanging out, playing video games or doing whatever, maybe even just doing homework with other people. But at the end of the day, for my first 3 years, I would go back to my room and there would be a roommate that I could kill the rest of the night time with until we went to bed. But my senior year, I had a single room, and so when I'd go back to my room, I would be alone and I could no longer outrun that loneliness. And so I started to realize then that loneliness isn't something that you can outrun because it follows you everywhere you go. It's a desire for intimacy. It's not just a desire for intimacy with people. Like I had a few friends who knew me pretty well, but I still kind of felt lonely. And I think it's more than just intimacy, but it's intimacy with God. Loneliness is a desire for intimacy with God. Loneliness is a desire to be known by God. So how do we deal with loneliness? I'm not completely an expert, but a few things I would say is just don't run from it. And don't see it as a weakness, but rather just see it as an opportunity to be known by God. I have a few quick scriptures I'd like to end with. In Psalm chapter 25, in verse 16, the psalmist writes, "Turn to me and be gracious to me, for I am lonely and afflicted. Relieve the troubles of my heart and free me from my anguish. Look on my affliction and my distress and take away all of my sins." And the verse I'd like to end on is in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Loneliness is not a weakness, but it's an opportunity to grow in intimacy with God.